Hey, what's up everybody? Nick here. Well, the October videos on this channel are continuing, and today I'm excited for another ranking video. I am going to rank today my favorite final girls in the big three horror franchises from 10 all the way down to 1. So if you want to see who's number 1, stick around and keep watching. Alright, so my favorite final girls in the big three horror franchises. You guys might be a little surprised by this list. Sometimes my taste in a final girl might not be based on the quality of movie, but sometimes there's a little bit of the quality of movie that might be in there. So it gets a little tricky. And I did the top three, or I did the three main horror franchises, as in Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, and Friday the 13th, because number one, I know those the best. And number two, it's just easier, I'll be honest, Sidney Prescott from Scream would probably be my number 1 final girl of all time. But if I include Scream, then do I include I Know What You Did Last Summer? And then there's all kinds of other one-offs. And it just is simpler for me to include just the big three horror franchises and go from there. So let's get right into it with number 10 on my list. Number 10 is going to be an original final girl in one of these franchises, and it's going to be Alice from the original Friday the 13th. Look, it might be blasphemy to put Alice, all the way back at number 10, and I do like her character. I don't love her character. She's all right. She's strong. I feel like there's stronger female characters in these franchises. She kind of turns down Steve Christie's advances, and she puts up a valiant fight against Mrs. Voorhees. She chops her fucking head off. But yeah, she's a good final character, but she's just not as memorable as some of the others to me. So I put her at number 10. Moving right along to number 9 is going to be Kristen from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. Alright guys, I love Dream Warriors, and I love the character of Kristen. She actually obviously is in the sequel to this, or the next installment, part 4, Dream Master, but it doesn't feel like it's her because you have Tuesday Night instead of Patricia Arquette, and she's killed off right away, which obviously happens, but let's stick with Dream Warriors. She is a great character. The reason I have her so low though is she's kind of drowned out, or she kind of is punished for having such a great cast of characters in this movie. Everyone from Kincaid to Joey to Nancy returning. It's not Kristen's fault. Like I said, she's a great character, but she's kind of, not as memorable, because when I think of Dream Warriors, I think of the entire cast and all the Dream Warriors, so to speak, banding together. So as much as she's a good character, and I'd have to have her on this list, Patricia Arquette obviously does a great job with the character. Didn't want to put her any higher than 9 just because of that factor alone with the entire cast. So she's at 9. Coming in next at number 8 is going to be, oh god, here comes some, you guys are going to be mad at me for this because I know a lot of people don't like this movie, and I don't really like this movie, but it's going to be Tina from Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Look, this is obviously the sequel where it's Jason versus Carrie, because Tina has telekinetic powers. If you haven't seen it, that's true. Check it out. She throws everything in the kitchen sink at Jason. I feel in a final girl rankings for these franchises, Tina has to be on the list, just because of, like I said, she throws the kitchen sink literally basically at Jason. Just a great final fight, totally different with the telekinesis than all the other movies in these franchises, but she puts up a good fight. She gives Jason a run for his money, throwing couches and electrocuting him, and throwing, I think there's She has, I know when she sets him on fire in the basement, I think she has like a bunch of nails fly at him, right, too. So that's kind of cool. So she puts up a good fight. As much as she's not maybe the most likable character, just because of her past trauma and things like that, and Dr. Cruz is just being a dick to her. You know, she's not the most likable character, but she puts up a good fight. I think she's a good final girl for what the movie is. So I have her at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is a character that I think is probably forgotten about a lot and doesn't give the credit she deserves, and that's going to be Alice from A Nightmare on Elm Street's Part 4 and 5. Alice survives both movies, which is rare in a lot of these franchises, as the final girl. She starts out as this shy, meek, which is a trope for a lot of these final girls, but especially Alice. She starts out as this shy, meek girl, doesn't really talk to anyone. She's hanging out with these friends because they're kind of friends with her brother, and she slowly starts to gain the powers of her friends in her dreams and becomes, the Dream Master, and then takes on Freddy at the end of Part 4. And then in Part 5, she kind of grows up a little bit. She becomes pregnant. Dan is killed, so she's, preparing to be a single mother, dealing with Dan's parents who want her to put up the kid for adoption, and then also dealing with the fact that fucking Freddy's haunting her again. So she's a good final girl, and like I said, I don't think she gets the credit she fully deserves. So she is at number 7 on my list. Coming in at number 6 is going to be Chris Higgins from Friday the 13th, Part 3. Chris is a good character. She's probably not as likable as all the characters above her on this list, but like I've said ad nauseum here, she puts up a good fight in the final showdown. And actually her final chase scene with Jason is, and I've said this before, is my favorite final chase scene, not only in Friday the 13th movies, but in all the franchises. I think it might not be the best. I don't know if I can say it's better than the final chase in the OG Halloween, but it's probably my favorite just because of where it goes. It starts out in the house when she gets the body of whatever the hell her boyfriend's name is, or kind of boyfriend's name is, and Jason comes in and she drops the books on him after running up the stairs, stabs him in the leg and hand, and hits him with the log, and then it goes to her car, and then finally to the barn. Just classic scene, and I really like her character. She really, the actress Dana Kimmel really goes nuts at the end, which is very realistic for someone that would survive an experience like that. So I like Chris. She's not as high as some of the others because she's not as likable, but I do like her, so she's at number 6. All right, let's get into the top 5. Number 5, there could be a debate on this one on whether you could consider her a final girl, but I do consider her a final girl, even though she's not the last final girl or the only final girl, and that is going to be Rachel Carruthers from Halloween 4 and for 10 minutes of Halloween 5. Look, technically, Jamie is probably who you would consider the final girl of those movies, and I get that, but I have to include Rachel as well on this list, just because she hits all the other final girl tropes that you see. She's basically the one that is protecting Jamie in Halloween 4, whether it's on the rooftop, whether it's in the truck. Everything about her and her arc as a foster sister, and showing that she really loves Jamie and willing to sacrifice herself multiple times to save Jamie. She's just very likable, and I love her character. She was done dirty. We can all admit that. I don't think you'll hear any arguments from someone that says, Rachel deserved to die the way she died at the beginning of Halloween 5. Because we all love Rachel. She's a great character. She's my number 5 final girl. Coming in at number 4, same movies. It's going to be Jamie Lloyd. Look, what more can you say about the performance of Danielle Harris as, I think in Halloween 4 she's supposed to be 7, and in Halloween 5 she's supposed to be 9. Just another whatever. But either way, she's a child being chased by her uncle, the boogeyman, Michael Myers, and the performance by Danielle Harris is amazing in both movies. I don't like the fact that she became a mute in Halloween 5, but it just really, Danielle Harris's performance really captured the vulnerability of a young girl being hunted by a fucking lunatic on Halloween night. You know, watch the even taking away the Michael Myers stuff. Watch the performance of her being bullied at school by her friends. Just great performance by Danielle Harris. I love her in these movies. Even Halloween 5, she is a standout in there. You know, once she starts talking again, it's great. And, you know, the laundry chute scene is great. You know, she's brave. She's willing to use herself as bait at the end of Halloween 5 to capture and kill Michael. So very brave for a young girl to do that. You know, at that point, she just had enough. You know, and that's before she even knew that Rachel had died. So you got to give it to Danielle Harris. I love Jamie Lloyd. She's at number 4. All right, guys, here's where we get into the good stuff. The top 3 final girls in these franchises. And I am about to duck and cover. I mean it. I'm about to lose half of my subscribers with this. But number 3 is going to be Laurie Strode. Yes, she is not my favorite. I actually, a part of me wanted to include Rachel and Jamie ahead of her, even though they're in worse movies. But I couldn't based on everything that Laurie represents. Obviously, in the OG, she's, kind of mousy and meek and a nerd, and, she gets her strength when she's, hunted by Michael, and then it continues in Halloween 2, where I know she's kind of, on drugs and out of it and injured in the hospital, but that's realistic, and that's her performance when she finally confronts Michael, or when Michael finally confronts her, is just shock in Halloween 2. And then in the other movies, they are what they are. I really like her character in Halloween H2O, which you guys have heard me say many times. Even though I hate the movie, I love the performance of Laurie. I think it's the absolute most realistic approach to someone with trauma and dealing with that for 20 years. As much as I don't like her character as much in Halloween 2018, it's still Laurie Strode. I buy that that's Laurie Strode 40 years later in a different timeline. I buy it. And that's the performance of Jamie Lee Curtis. So yeah, what more can I say about Laurie Strode that hasn't already been said, that I haven't already said, that you guys haven't heard on other channels? Laurie's great, but she's only at number 3 for me. So let's get into the top 2. Who the hell could be ahead of her, you might be asking? Well, let's talk about it. Number 2 on my list is going to be Nancy Thompson from A Nightmare on Elm Street. This is mostly based on the OG from 1984. I know she's in Dream Warriors, and I love her performance in Dream Warriors. But she's more of a like a elder statesman at that point, where she's kind of, she's technically not an adult, but she's an adult. She's in grad school. And she's kind of helping out these young kids, and it's a great performance. In Wes Craven's New Nightmare, it's actually Heather Langenkamp, so it's a little bit different. But Nancy Thompson in the OG Nightmare on Elm Street, it's an awesome fucking character. She's dating Johnny Depp. Her friends are being killed, as what happens in all of these slasher movies. But she's so strong and so cunning and clever. She figures out who he is. She pulls this hat out. She's out of her dream. She's complaining to her mom. It's Fred Krueger, Mom. She knows it. She's staying up. She's telling, Glenn, don't fall asleep. It's just great. And then she sets up all these traps. When she sets a timer. So she wakes up, she pulls Freddy out of her dream, and she set up all those traps, like the light bulb, like the sledgehammer off the door, just clever, like, booby traps and shit. It's like fucking Home Alone before Home Alone. So really cool character. She was fantastic in that movie. She's fantastic in all 3 of the movies that Heather was in. But I really like Nancy Thompson, so she's at number 2. Which brings me to my number 1. You guys might be surprised by this, but my number 1 is going to be from Friday the 13th Part 2. It's going to be Ginny Field. I love this character. I'm a big fan of the movie, but I'm even a bigger fan of the character of Ginny. And that is because, much like Nancy, she uses her brain to figure out what is going on. It's said earlier in the movie in kind of a throwaway line that, she is studying child psychology. and she's in grad school, I think. But anyway, she's at the bar then, when Jason's doing his business, and she's at the bar with Paul and Ted and all the other counselors that's names we don't know. She's at the bar, so, she's having some drinks, and she's like, what would he be? What would Jason be like? She's kind of working it out in her head. And then when she gets back, and, she sees Jason in the room, Paul, there's someone in this fucking room, and then the final chase happens. It's a great final chase, too. I mentioned that Friday the 13th Part 3 is my favorite final chase. This is right up there, too. I like Part 3 better, but this is good too. She starts out in the bathroom, and then in the car, and then she goes into the other cabin. She goes in the other cabin, she fucking pees herself. How realistic is that? And she's got that mouse by her. Jason, she comes at him with a chainsaw, so pretty cool final scene. And then the climax is, she gets to Jason's shack. She sees the shrine to Mrs. Voorhees, and it clicks with her. And she puts on the sweater. And, Jason, Mother is talking to you. She realized what he was. And then when she saw the shrine, she knew what she had to do to, get him to stop, to defeat him. And even though, when she moved her body to take the machete to him, and Jason saw and blocked it, it gave Paul enough time to come and help her. And then, she took the machete to his head. So the fact that she used her brain, and it was just such a throwaway line that she was a child psychologist, really made me love her character. So all the characters on the list, especially the top 5, I love. So let me know what you guys think. Who's your favorite final girl in these franchises? Am I crazy for not having Laurie number 1? Let me know your thoughts, and thanks as always for watching.